We are live here in Switzerland. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. This episode or this live streaming is called Battle for the Planet. And why is it called Battle for the Planet? Because, well, it's a battle for the planet. I am dressed here in this costume, which is the battle dress of Dr. Norman Bethune. This was a doctor who served, he's a Canadian doctor who went to Spain in 1938, I believe, and also went to China in late 1938 and 1939, or maybe it was 37. It doesn't really matter what dates it was. It was in the late 30s, at the time when fascism was rising in the world, as it is again today. So what have we got going here? We've got fascism rising again. We've got the world in a crisis right now because of coronavirus. So let me just clip this on here. See if we can. This probably doesn't do anything to assist. Anyway, here we go. So we'll give a little talk on how the battle for the planet and how ConscienceLAND and you as a citizen of ConscienceLAND will become the solution, the people we need, we all need, not just people in my situation, but people around the world are needing you to be citizens of ConscienceLAND. And what does that mean? That means we have to, every day, but especially today, which is Change Wednesday, every Wednesday we do 3 things. Number 1, smile and make other people happy. When you make other people happy, how do you feel? Most people feel good. They feel happy. So every Wednesday we do 3 things. Number 1, smile and make other people happy. Number 2, change something about who? Well, change yourself, because nobody else can change you. You must change yourself. So every Wednesday, smile, change. And the third thing is unplug. Unplug the stuff around your home. So it's not so much about saving power. It's more about saving yourself from being a mindless consumer. A mindless consumer of everything around you, in your home, in your work, as you travel around, you commute, whatever it is you're doing. With coronavirus, maybe you're not commuting, maybe you're staying at home. And this is even better time to be part of the thinking of how do we not waste the resources that we have. I'm sure that many people are thinking, first of all, about the food that they consume. So they have to be careful about their consumption and wasting. And there's no point in wasting food at this point, because you're going to need it, right? Especially if you're home and you're maybe in quarantine or anything like that. So the coronavirus is really affecting us in ConscienceLAND. We're very lucky here in Switzerland because there's really there are cases. But just like in Italy, to the south of us, most of it are older people. Most of it is people over 65, and in fact, toward the 70s and 80s. So, of course, everyone is subject to the coronavirus, and it is bringing attention to the fact that we need to do these 3 things: smile, change, unplug. Unplug your stuff around your home. Don't waste resources. And also unplug yourself from this machine. Unplug yourself from being addicted, especially to the news about right now about coronavirus. Put yourself forward into what happens after coronavirus. What is it we'll have to deal with in the years, months, weeks that follow, when we're maybe even still somewhat quarantined, or we're self-quarantined, but we need to interact with our communities, because it'll be evident, how do we get food? Well, we get food from our local community. And where does the community get food? Well, it comes from the local food producers. Are they actually local? Probably not. Many of them are at a distance. And much of that supply chain, I suspect that a lot of it will be disrupted. Just as it's disrupted now, a lot of these supply chains will have trouble achieving their supply chain management. Their just-in-time delivery. They'll have trouble with that. Not only the bankruptcies, but simply the change in how we can't do business as usual, right? Business as usual is over. We're not going to be involved with business as usual anymore. It's business as unusual. And that's ConscienceLAND. That is having the conscience to begin to share your resources, understand that you're part of a bigger community. You can't do it alone. You certainly can't do it alone. And it's not just your family. It's not just your friends. It's people you don't know. It's people maybe you don't like. It's all of this. And now we're getting very, very close to the realization that we're all interconnected. Actually, the countries don't matter at all. Doesn't matter where you are, especially with coronavirus. People are traveling across borders. Does the disease respect the border? No. It's just carried over the border. Is it the fault of the person traveling over the border? Of course not. They're just moving around as we all do in the different conveyances, whether it's airplanes or trains or buses, even gatherings. So, okay, every Wednesday, Smile, Change, and Unplug. We need to build our social skills. Why? Because we're not going to be isolated forever, but we have to change even how we meet each other and we interact. So maybe some of you have seen some other videos that I've been doing over the last few days. And you can see that one of the things we're suggesting is, well, okay, you can kick feet, or you can do the Vulcan sign. And that's all fun and cool. But I think really what's going to happen is that people will just adopt the old, wave and salute. Some will adopt the Far Eastern, prayer, saying namaste or something, just even the hand signal of thank you very much. It's very honorable to meet you and nice to see you and bye-bye. That's another hand signal that's probably going to be used. And we propose this, the sustainability symbol, the 3-finger sustainability symbol: society, environment, economy, and balance. Hi there, friends. Hey, how you doing? Hey, nice to see you. See you again soon. You don't have to touch. You don't have to shake hands. You don't have to indicate that you don't have a weapon in your hand. It's clear you don't have a weapon in your hand. And in fact, it's also clear that you're sharing a symbol which is meaningful. It's meaningful because most people look at this and they say, what's the meaning of that? If you do this, there's nobody cares. But if you do this, say, why 3? What's the reason you're doing 3? And as we do this more and more, you'll see more and more people sharing the sustainability symbol. maybe in special instances when we're communicating through ConscienceLAND, but as the other outside world, the people who are unconscious of ConscienceLAND, begin to see this used, they'll say, what's that? What's that symbol? What does that mean? And we can tell them what it means is society, environment, economy, and balance. And the fact that I'm making that symbol suggests that I am thinking about the balance between society, the environment, and the economy. I'm thinking about it. That's why I'm using the symbol. Wow, what kind of people do we want in the world? We want people that are thinking about the balance between society, the environment, and the economy, and solving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. More and more and more. And everybody producing that kind of attitude. Yeah, hi, it's peace. Peace plus one. The peace sign plus one finger makes three. Society, environment, economy is the symbol of sustainability. Every Wednesday, we do three things: smile, change, and unplug. There's a lot of threes in the world, and this symbol is already known by thousands of people as the sustainability symbol, or the sustainability salute. We salute you. The sustainability salute, the three-finger salute. It has meaning, and the person who's sharing it is also, it's meaningful what you're sharing. You're sharing three fingers, and those three fingers mean something. It's not just peace or victory or, you know, this one. The people who know what this is will maybe make a comment and explain to others what this means. It's very, very rude. So this symbol, we see it all the time. It makes no difference to who's. In fact, it actually looks kind of silly and childish on when people do that. However, when we start to see people do this, we wonder, what is that person about? What is their story? Why are they doing that? What group are they with? What faction are they? What faction are they? How is it they're doing this symbol? And there's other people who are responding. Ah, yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, cool. That has an enormous power. Once we create this advantage of being part of the solution, it changes the dynamic completely for this part of the world. Not just this part of the world. It changes the dynamic completely in how we interact with the world. That's what I meant to say. How we relate to the world and other people in it. All of a sudden now, you can identify who's part of the solution. You can see who's sharing the three fingers, who is promoting this kind of attitude. You can see them. They will be very evident. They will be right there. You'll see them very easily. It's the three fingers. Are they part of the problem? Nope. Nope. They're part of the solution. Those people you can, well, I wouldn't say you can trust everybody that does this, because that's just a symbol. What the people's character is, you don't really know. However, this is the beginning of understanding. You can sort of select from those people who are making a hand signal, and you say, that person, I wonder if they're trustworthy. Let me speak to them. Let me find out what their track record is. Let me see what their actions, if their actions match their words and the symbolisms that they share. This is the battle. We're not talking about a violence battle, a battle with guns and clubs and bombs. We're not talking about the battle for the planet being a battle of violence. We're talking about the battle for the planet being a battle between good and evil. It's as basic as that. If you're part of the solution and you're trying to make the world better, not just for humans, but for everything on the planet, if you're that part of that group, clearly you're part of the solution. You're a good person. If you're destroying the planet by extracting oil or by whatever it is, putting more carbon in the atmosphere just for money, just for greed, or governments making excuses. Oh, well, we need this energy. If we don't have this energy, we'll lose our political power. Well, yeah, right now, but maybe you'll lose your political power because you destroyed the food system. You destroyed all the healthy medicines coming out of the jungles of the Amazon and the jungles of Africa. Maybe your government will be destroyed because you were part of the problem and you never recognized that, well, actually people want to eat. They want to have clean drinking water. They want to have security in a shelter. They don't really care how much money is flowing through the country if they're not benefiting from it. They don't care about the GDP. The GDP reflects what the very tiny elite in the country are manipulating and achieving through international trade. How does that affect the local person? Basically, not at all. It affects them because it brings in more goods that they can buy. But is that what they need? No, they don't need more goods to buy. They need more security in food, not something flown in from New Zealand. They don't need something, well, at least from Canada or in Switzerland or any other place. They don't need these things that are brought from other countries. They need local food source security. They need their communities to be secure. They need their communities to be friendly places, a place of learning and growth. They need their communities to be secure, not from guns, although that's one huge problem, especially in the United States. They need to have security that they have the opportunity to work at something meaningful that is producing a benefit to society, a good for society, goods, that's where the name comes from, goods for society, and that society is thriving, it's prospering because those goods are actually produced by the people of the community. That's the world I want to live in, and I hope that's the world you want to live in too. Because clearly we're not going to make it if we continue on the path of just consuming for the sake of consuming, following the YouTubes and the Facebooks and all these methods of mass communication. We're not going to make it if we can't eat, if we don't have clean water, if we have no security and stability health services, for example, for ourselves and for our children. We won't make it. There's no point in making it. What are you creating a society for? To have shopping malls? No. You're creating a society to have community. You want safety, you want fun, entertainment, you want to meet people, you want to do things. And so this is the big battle. It's the battle between the producers of standardized ideas and food and clothing and all of these problems, really, and the people who wish to produce clothing locally, who wish to upcycle clothing that is going to not only clothe you, but it's also going to employ local people, and it's also going to be a unique thing, a fashionable thing for the local people. And there's some innovation and some creativity that's happening at the local level. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. We don't want everybody wearing the same clothes. And we don't want them to all wear a uniform. You know, this is the old days. This is the old ideas. Uniformity. I wear it to shock you. I wear it so you go, why is that guy wearing a cap and a jacket that looks like something out of the World War II? Well, actually, it precedes World War II. This is it is now the 3-button brigade, let's call it. It's society, environment, economy. These 3 buttons represent society, environment, economy in balance. They're in the shape of a triangle on its point. It's a very, very precarious balance. It's not like a pyramid. It's not stable in that sense. It has the stability only because you keep adjusting it. Maybe it's even spinning. You're helping the world stay in balance by spinning that top around, and it maintains its balance because there's motion, movement, change, and balance. That's much more dynamic, and that's much more authentic, and that's much more helpful to the local economies and local jobs and everything than this standardization and globalization of products and services and so on. Because of course, there's a huge concentration of power. There's a concentration of power that denies jobs to local people, or keeps the economic benefit very low. There's a lot of talk these days about the battle of the economies, and these trade wars and so on. And in those trade wars, you've got this battle between employers and employees for wages. You've got a very hello pup, hi Nimba. You've got a very, let's take a look. You can see Simba there. There's Simba. Simba, hello. How are you doing? Big tail wave. Okay. Anyway, so that's Simba. So you've got this battle, and of course, people are being paid less money. Well, they're being paid the same amount of money as I think they were in the 70s or even before, maybe even since the 50s. The actual amount of money that people make. This is a U.S. statistic, but I think it's probably true even in Europe here. People have in Europe. I think the wages did go up by quite a bit, but it's certainly in the United States. People aren't making more money, but the living is costing more, and plus they want to buy more stuff that they don't need, so they run out of money. And even if they're working at a job which makes a reasonable hourly wage, they still have to have two family members working in order to support a household, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that these people are enslaved basically by big corporations or even small businesses, and their incomes are very low. So in ConscienceLAND, the reason I go over this is because, well, there's a lot of talk about that, but there's not a lot of solutions about that. It's always this adjustment for taxes or some other reason. But actually that won't fix it. No, it'll always be a battle in the capitalist system. It'll always be a battle between the accumulation at the top and the redistribution, the trickle-down effect, which is bullshit, proposed by the wealthy, that it will all trickle down to the people who don't have the money. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. Won't work. It's never worked. I don't see why people keep absorbing this fantasy. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. So what we need to do is move off that system. Now, we're not going to move it off it tomorrow. There's always going to be these we're going to stay with money and fiat money and capitalism for quite a long time, I'm guessing. We have to build in ConscienceLAND, right? ConscienceLAND, society, environment, economy in balance. We have to build a new revolutionary society, or let's say a radical society. Maybe that's a better word. Not revolutionary, because that brings up ideas of violence. But a radical society, we're a radical society. Radical thinking. Just thinking itself is radical for many people. They don't think, they just follow. We call them sheeple. It's not my word. Many people call them sheeple. Sheep people. They're just following like sheep. They're not thinking for themselves. As soon as you get people thinking for themselves, well, most of them make better decisions for themselves. Now, is it all selfish? Well, part of the motivation is selfish initially, but then people start to realize, because they have the power to make decisions themselves, then they start to be more altruistic. There's certainly the psychopaths who never change. They just accumulate money and power and are not interested in making other people happy. But think about our 3-Finger Wednesday. What's the first thing? Make other people happy, because actually making other people happy makes you happy, unless you're a psychopath. Psychopaths do not feel better and happier when other people, when they make other people happy. In fact, it's the opposite. They get joy or some kind of pleasure from making other people unhappy, taking things away from them. So that's clearly, where we are today. Just look around the world, politics around the world, and you'll see this austerity programs, all these basically right-wing activities, but the left does it too. Don't think for a moment that in ConscienceLAND we don't have people from the right and the left. We have people from everywhere. Why? Because it's not about your politics. It's about reality. And the reality is we live in the world together. And so it's all about how do we live in the world together. ConscienceLAND is not about right or left. And it's not even about the center. It's about everybody. I don't care what your politics are. If you don't cooperate with everyone to make the world better, and we can all agree that food and water and clean air is pretty basic. We all want that. If you're not working toward that, or you're working against that, you're part of the problem. We don't want you in ConscienceLAND. Not until you change. So that's what Change Wednesday is about. It's change your behaviors, maybe even quit your job. Hey, there's a scary idea for employers. I would guess that there are thousands or millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people who hate their jobs. And the only reason they stay in their jobs is because they have no choice. They're trapped in a system which only the system is basically about them working their time used up in order to get money, to buy food, and to pay rent, and to get a few things that they need, and a few things that they want too. And that's a system. It's a treadmill. It's a system that we've been participating in for many, many years, maybe forever. But is it working? Well, no, it's not working. Not really anymore. I think that a lot of people are very dissatisfied and maybe even slightly ashamed of what they're doing, because when they realize that their company is polluting or building systems to kill people. Remember, Google itself, the owner of this channel, many engineers left Google when it was discovered that Google's algorithms were being used in drones, artificial intelligence in drones, to kill people, right? In Yemen and other places in the world. And they had a conscience. And they said, well, no, we thought that this company said that we would do no evil. And now they're doing evil. So we're not going to put our brain power into helping them, supporting them to do evil. No, not going to do it. Well, that's pretty wonderful, actually. I'm very, very proud of people like that. And we should all be proud of people like that. The whistleblowers, the people who quit their jobs because they're obviously contributing to an evil thing, doing a bad thing, the thing that's hurting society and hurting humanity and hurting the planet. It's a wonderful thing. These are the heroes of our time. They're not buying into the situation where everybody's saying, "Oh well, your value is how much money you have." No, doesn't. I think that's diminishing. I think really there are still people, of course, who are just going after the money, but they're the weak people. They're the very, very weakest people in society. They're controlled by the money. They're controlled by the system. There's a few of us, I hope I'm one of them, that are not controlled by the system. I need money like everybody else, and I'm fortunate to have people who recognize what I'm doing and sometimes help out. Not all the time, but obviously I'm not dead yet and I'm not starving. I'm a little bit hungry because I don't eat a lot. I don't have a lot. It's very, very challenging for me to travel because I have to get money somehow to travel and share the message. But, do I beg for it all the time in every video? No. Sometimes I ask, but very few times do people actually come through. Online. It would be lovely if you did, but you can look into it yourself. If you want to support what we're doing, great. But we have another way of doing it, and that is that we are we're doing it right now. We're creating what's called the ConscienceLAND Co-op. The ConscienceLAND Co-op is a cooperative. We're all familiar with cooperatives. You've seen them. There are many, many cooperatives around the world, which we don't even realize are cooperatives. But the most evident ones, of course, are you look at some of the food stores and retailers in England, here in Switzerland. I think the statistic is the top 3 food stores, or top 2 food stores in the country are co-ops. They're both co-ops. They're cooperatives, and this model is very. It's not perfect, but it's a very good model for ConscienceLAND, and it's a good model for everybody. You think of local credit unions in Canada, where I'm from. There's a lot of credit unions, especially in Quebec. The credit union, which is a bank, but it's a bank owned by its members. These credit unions in some parts of the world are way, way exceeding what the other banking systems are doing, because people care and actually they regulate, and actually they dictate as a group, as a cooperative member, a group of cooperative members, they dictate what kind of returns they get on their money. And many people say, well, look, I don't need a big return on my money, but what I want to do is see that money used in helping small businesses to grow and to be financed, so that we can have local food, so we can have local shoe manufacturing, so we can have local, repairs and materials to build our houses. That's a very good model. It's a communal model. It's the community is building and maintaining the system by which the community is financed, regulated to a certain extent, although that's really the job of government, and distributed and advertised. So these systems are there. They've been used for 100 years or more. Yeah, about 100 years, I think. They're not new. They work. We know they work. So now is the time to use it. So welcome to the ConscienceLAND Co-op. We're just going to set it up in the next few weeks, and so you're welcome to join us. You could be one of the first 7 members to actually write the documents, be there as a historical signatory. But that's not necessary. You can also just join and be part of the membership of the co-op. And then once you're a member of the co-op, you may wish to be on one of the councils, the Conscience Council, which deals with finance, the Caring Council, which deals with development and distribution. So the development of projects, the distribution of money to those projects, and also the how it's distributed, so it's fair. So excuse me, so that it gets around to the people who need it. So it's not venture capital, because venture capital is more about capitalizing something until it's profitable and then selling it, and then, or even before it's profitable, selling it, and then they don't care. So there's a real problems with venture capital, because it's a bit of a crapshoot. They invest in many things, and they sort of give a basic support to these many things, and they just hope that one of those things, or a few more than one, hopefully, takes, and it becomes a unicorn, becomes a very, very successful business. like a wildly successful business, like Facebook, like Google, like these things. So they're all those venture capitalists. They don't really care about the local community thing that stays small. They don't care about that. They care only about whether they're going to make big bucks on, how are they going to turn this 100 times, 1,000 times, over and really get a great payback. Cooperatives are completely different attitude. Cooperatives are about how do we simply provide the services and we own it. We make the decisions about it by consensus, by referendum, by voting, by all the democratic means that we have. And in conscience land, this is the big battle. This will all be recorded. So it's like, soldiers, if you will, in this battle to save the planet and to keep our world in some kind of human-friendly way. That battle is recorded. So all the transactions that you make, your universal social credit is up on the blockchain. Your systems that you're using are owned by you. You're building something that you own. This is really the direction we have to go in, because each community then becomes a co-op. And part of the program of ConscienceLAND Co-op is, like most every co-op, is to spread the message of co-op and actually to generate and create more co-ops. So the projects that will be financed in ConscienceLAND, some of them will be co-ops themselves, and maybe we'll even make a special consideration or priority for those projects that present themselves as co-ops. I mean, the larger projects, a little beach cleanup or something, no problem. It's just a group of friends helping out. They will get possibly financed in a small way with universal basic income, universal basic USB, universal social benefit. That's it, USB. The first type of credit system is the USC, Universal Social Credit. These are the actions that you make in ConscienceLAND in supporting others, projects, transactions, all these kinds of things. Even the SCG token of appreciation, paying it forward, you get credit for that. And that credit is not money, it's credit. It's a recognition of what you've done and what you're doing and what you hope to do and what you're showing that you continue to do. So that's a universal social credit. That gives other people an idea of, is this person trustworthy? Can I invest in this person? Or are they just grabbing money for themselves? And of course, if they're just grabbing money for themselves, that's not, it's not working out. So that's the universal social credit, is we wish to build our reputations in ConscienceLAND. And evidently, everybody can see what our reputations are, because it is somewhat competitive. You are competing to do the right thing. And in solving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, that's the great thing that you're doing. In solving those goals, you are credited. Every action you take, planting a tree, feeding a child, cleaning up a beach, whatever it is you're doing, you're credited for it. And maybe it's also your name is in one of the projects. Whatever you want to do, the point is it's up to you. It's not dictated to you. You don't have to do it. You do it because you want to do it. We call it L.O.V.E, Lifestyle of Voluntary Effort. L.O.V.E, Lifestyle of Voluntary Effort. It's love. That is what we are doing. We are caring for each other. We're caring for the earth. It's called carrying currency. How do we transact carrying currency? Well, in ConscienceLAND, in the general project, which is called the World Sustainability Project, by the way, there's a long history to the World Sustainability Project. In the World Sustainability Project, we have ConscienceLAND. And to serve ConscienceLAND, we have an exchange. We have a way that money comes in, but it's mostly crypto money. So we call it a mountain of crypto, right? You're piling up this money, this crypto, and that's a value. And this value, you've heard a lot about the blockchain. You're seeing countries moving toward blockchain-based currencies. All of this, there's a lot of interest in blockchain, and it's just at the very, very beginning. It's an infant industry. It's just at the beginning, but but even countries and central treasuries are working on how they're going to use this accounting system, this absolutely bulletproof accounting system. And by the way, it's also corruption free, or let's call it corruption resistant, because you can't corrupt the system. You can't erase anything that's been done. It's all recorded forever. So criminals hate that. Cheaters hate this. Liars hate that. They hate it when something is recorded and can be reviewed. Oh my gosh, you said that it was this way, and it turns out to be a lie. It's not this way, it's this way. So that's the people who lie and cheat and steal and create problems for the world. They can't operate very easily. In fact, they can't operate, period, in ConscienceLAND and in using blockchain technology. So the first thing you have is a universal social credit. The next thing that we propose in ConscienceLAND, in this battle to save the planet, is the universal social benefit. So this is the sort of short-term financing, short-term benefit. It's like, think of it like welfare from the state that you're creating, but it's not a state physical on the planet. It's a state of mind. Anyone on the planet can be a citizen of ConscienceLAND. And as a citizen of ConscienceLAND, you have access to plots, which I'll describe in a moment, which is a sort of a territory for which you're responsible in your ISR, individual social responsibility. That's your territory, let's call it. And then you do actions on that territory, and that's recorded. So if you're doing good things on that territory, it's recorded. And that makes you eligible for support, financial support from the treasury of ConscienceLAND, which is the exchange and the index of the SDG 17 index. And then we have other systems that we will develop in ConscienceLAND with your help and your programming, but you don't have to be a programmer. We want programmers, but we also want just regular people who are using their social media to share the message, to recruit more people into ConscienceLAND, to create more wealth for the community, because you've got these open source systems which give you a chance to break free of the domination of very big corporations for food, for information, for search, for all these functions. We have to have our own, and we have to have systems which we're developing. And actually, a lot of this is already developed. What we're doing in ConscienceLAND is recognizing that this is developed, that's developed, this is, wow, bring them together, and that creates a choice, number one, for citizens, but it's a choice that's sustainable. It's a choice that supports those who are working on making the world a better and freer place, not a more restricted and controlled place. So we're trying to create this, it's this freedom. Take the yoke off the neck, cast it aside, and start to do the good thing that you know you want to do and you should be doing. It's a great opportunity, and we're going to make it happen. I don't know how long this has been. Let me look at the timer. Is there a timer on this? Yeah, we're at 44 minutes. So it's 45 minutes into this. Let's limit this to 1 hour. I don't even know if it will record for this long. But we'll sum up the last 15 minutes with in ConscienceLAND, it's a battle for the planet. The main objective is in 10 years from now, this is 2020, by 2030, we must have solved the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. The SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are the goals, they're called the global goals. They have been determined by 195 countries, I believe. And in 2015, 195 countries under the auspices of the United Nations came together and they signed an agreement for to solve the 17 goals. Okay? That by 2030, 15 years from 2015, that they would have solved hunger, poverty, health services. Think of it. Coronavirus, health services, SDG number 3. Gender equality, clean water, clean energy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Climate change, forests, under the ocean, all of these problems that we have polluted, we've created the problems, we've made poverty, we've created these situations, north, south, rich, poor, we've created these situations. We have to solve them by 2030. Now, how have we done so far? Anybody know? Very poorly, very poorly. In this first 5 years, so we're 1/3 of the way through this program, we're emitting more carbon than we were in 2015. Now, maybe the coronavirus and the shutdown of a lot of transportation and factories will maybe put us on track. It might be a hidden benefit to the disaster and crisis of the coronavirus. But that's a wake-up call for humanity. You can't just do whatever you want on this planet. You have to do what the planet can support. And if you're doing things that can't support the planet, I think the planet says, well, we're going to eliminate you with viruses, with the disasters, whatever. We're going to get rid of this species that's creating the problem. But the problem now is that the species that's creating the problem is going to take a whole other species with it. And anyway, we don't want to go extinct. That's what Extinction Rebellion is about. We don't want to go extinct. We want to stay here. We want our children to have a future. That's what Fridays for Future is about. Children want to have a future, and they're on the street protesting to beg for their future. They say they're not begging, but they shouldn't have to do that. It's because the adults are not living in the Republic of Conscience. They're not living in Conscience Land. They're not thinking about what's really important. They're just going after the money. And they're making every excuse on the planet to do that. Oh, I need the security. Oh, I have to do it because I'm told to do it. Well, I'm telling you, stop. You don't have to do it. You can stop doing it. Stop doing it. Start acting like an adult. Start looking after all the other species on the planet, not just yours. Why? Because you need them. You don't just need your family. You don't just need your children. You need the whole system. And you need it to be clean. You need it to be bountiful. You need clean air, clean water, clean living. And you want opportunity, because it's not just about environment. It's also about society and economy. So you need these things. What are you doing to make that happen? Most people are doing absolutely nothing. Or they're not only doing nothing, they're working against themselves. They're voting for political parties which promise them the moon, and of course they won't deliver. Of course they won't deliver, because no one's talking about reality. They're talking about fantasy. Oh, economic fantasy. Oh, we're all going to be rich if we vote for this particular political idea. No, you're not. You're not going to be rich. They're tricking you. They're lying to you. Most of them are lying to you. Maybe all of them are lying to you in one degree or another. But you have to make the decision of what is actually working in your life. And if you see the environment changing around you that's becoming very, very unstable, like, here in Switzerland, it was quite warm in like January and February. And at one point, the bees were coming out of their hives. The bees have nothing to eat. There's no flowers, no nectar, no nothing, no sugar. So they were going back to their hives hungry, or maybe some of them didn't get back to their hives because they were exhausted, ran out of energy, and just died in the snow. Or maybe it wasn't even snow, because actually there wasn't snow in many places for a while. It's a little bit now because the weather is weird. It got cold. After it got warm and all the flowers started to burst out and the bees were flying around, then it got cold. It died, killed them all off. Man, that's not good for these systems. It disrupts them. It gives them a problem. So this might be a problem this year with pollination of the food that we eat. We might have trouble because all of our activities are exacerbating this problem, or accelerating the climatic change, warming up our Arctic and our Antarctic, and they're warming it up, and this is causing these enormous changes. Now, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter. What are we at number? Okay, we're 50 minutes, so 10 minutes left. Let me say something about climate change. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's to blame for it. Could be the sun, could be, I don't know, aliens. I don't know. Could be all kinds of excuses. I personally think it's the imbalance between the carbon that has been sequestered in the earth for billions of years being released into the atmosphere and into the oceans in a matter of 150 years. I think that's it. Okay? I think, I agree with hundreds of thousands of scientists and basically all the intelligent community that says, yeah, that's probably it. We've thrown it out of balance because we took all this carbon that was in the earth and we threw it in the air and in the ocean, and now it's out of balance. I think that's probably true. Now, it might be magnetic fields, it might be sunspots, it might be all of those things, and just the natural cycle of the world. But we're accelerating. I think there's no question about that. Nothing. Whether we're to blame for it or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's happening. So all you people who will deny and they argue and, oh, no, we should, increase the number of cars and the diesel engines. Come on. What are you doing? Do you have anybody you care about on the planet besides yourself and your bank account? Anybody? I mean, if you care about anybody else except yourself, you've got to know that you can't continue to do these things and on the chance that it makes it worse. Even if it's proven not to make it worse. Why are we doing it? Because we're greedy and we're not doing things well. Okay, so that's just a comment about the deniers, okay? I don't care about deniers. I ignore deniers. Sometimes they send messages, I never even respond. Why? They're stupid. They're just wasting your time if you even listen to them. Let's build conscience land and leave the deniers out. They can struggle on their own. We'll create a world where it's pleasant to live in conscience land, regardless of how the environment is deteriorating, because we're consciously working to make it better in our own communities, to protect our own communities and our own lifestyles, which is LOHHAS, lifestyle of health, happiness, and sustainability, because there's no point in living if you're not having a good time. Struggling and moaning and groaning all the time is not worth it. So let's end this on a positive note. In Conscience Land, we're working on creating a Conscience Land cooperative, which will be the sustainability machine. We're building a machine. It's an economic, social, and environmental machine to fix the SDGs. And that fixing of the SDGs will create a new lifestyle for those who are participating in it, and actually for everybody else too. Even the people who don't participate, even the people who deny, they will benefit from us building Conscience Land Co-op and all the services, financial, economic, well, that's the same thing, financial, societal, and environmental services in the sustainability machine. And we do this to solve the goals, because there's a clear objective. There's the 17+1 sustainability goals The +1, by the way, is individual social responsibility. That's why I put 3 fingers up. So the 17 + 1 goal is individual social responsibility, because we need to do that in order to achieve all the other 17 goals. We need to take responsibility for it. And we can do it. That's the positive message coming from ConscienceLAND. We can do it. So do something SDG. Do something SDG today and every day. Think and make it happen. Philip McMaster from here in beautiful Switzerland, Jura region of Switzerland. And I'm just so happy that we're going to get a lot of women on the council. Let's get women overrepresented in ConscienceLAND. So please, if you're a woman and you're watching this, join the SDG challenge, join the earthmobilization.com. Let me know, put a comment in, offer your interest and your support. And of course, men too. But look, men, encourage the women in your life to help you. And they're going to help you by being part of ConscienceLAND, because ConscienceLAND is about care, caring currency, using the currency of care to make the world a better place. So thanks, everybody. I think we're probably out of time now. And see you later. Be part of the solution. Every Wednesday is Change Wednesday. Smile, change, and unplug.